Hey kids, happy Pride. June is here, the month of the devil. The Alphabet Mafia soup community is out there terrorizing kids.
Hi, gay. Happy Pride Month. We are sashaying away with deals. We love gay, and it's awesome.
So this year for the month of Pride, we're going to be looking at a lot of queer media, gay, lesbian, trans, asexual, bisexual. We're going to try and cover as many letters of this endless mafia as possible. We're going to focus on good ones and bad ones. So if you don't want to miss any of the upcoming videos, make sure to subscribe to my channel right now. This is your chance. And support queer creators. Yay! It's also a good month to remember that LGBTQ people don't just exist in the month of June. We exist all year round. So if you want to show us your support the whole year. You know, don't do like Americans in elections where they just jump at politics in election year. Do it nonstop. And to kick us all off, today we're going to talk about Love, Simon. This is a movie that I've mentioned in my channel before, but if you're not familiar, Love, Simon is a coming-of-age comedy drama that follows Simon, a closeted gay teenager living in the suburbs with his super progressive parents in a super progressive school. And the movie basically follows his journey over the course of a year as he falls in love with someone else in his school that is also a homosexual, anonymously over emails. So it's a whodunit in a universe where apparently all teenagers sound like long-lost poets of a different time. And overall, the film is good. You know, it's a feel-good comfort movie that opts for not exploring the tragic side of being queer, but rather some positive representation that shows gay kids that it's okay to be gay as long as you're very straight acting and live in the suburbs with your very progressive parents and have overall nothing gay going on in your life other than the fact that you are a homosexual in the most scientific sense of the word. Okay, this is me being the woke friend that is way too woke. I'm gonna be that person. Love, Simon was made for straight people, right? It's a coming-of-age movie about a gay boy who is trying to come out of the closet and is dealing with normal teenage stuff that a straight kid would. The only difference is that he's secretly gay. But the story is done in such a way that, first, there's really no gay elements in the story other than the fact that he says he's a homosexual and he looks at boys longingly like a horny teenager would. But from the get-go, from the initial opening monologue, you're told that he is just like you. It's the whole, I'm just like you guys, it's just that I'm gay, but I like the same stuff, I hang out with the same people, I vote for the same politicians. It oozes gay Republican energy. You know those campaigns that gays do when they want to vote for Donald Trump and they want to bring other people to the MAGA movement and they're like, I'm gay, not stupid. It's like, hey, just because I'm gay doesn't mean I'm going to be accepting of people, doesn't mean I'm going to be a nice person, doesn't mean I'm going to respect others.
I'm gay, not stupid.
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 I'm gay, I'm not stupid.
I'm gay, not stupid.
I'm gay, not stupid.
Gay, I'm not stupid.
I'm gay, 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 not stupid.
I might be gay, but I'm not stupid.
We're gay, not stupid.
I'm gay, not stupid.
I'm gay, not stupid.
We're gay, but we're not stupid.
I'm gay, not stupid.
I'm gay, not stupid.
Just because I'm gay doesn't mean I can't be a piece of shit like you conservatives are. Welcome me with open arms and I shall be the mouthpiece that vocalizes how pro-gay you guys are, all while you pass anti-LGBTQ laws. It's funny because it's true. And I'm not saying this movie has MAGA spirit at all. I am saying though that this is the perfect coming-of-age movie to show Republicans so they can accept gay people and bulk up their numbers in the quest for destroying every progressive policy we've ever accomplished. And now that I'm done being the woke friend that is too woke, this movie's actually also kind of funny. Not so much in the comedy they intend, but in how, like, as a gay person watching this, how ridiculous it all feels, how fabricated it all feels. And, you know, I know it's a movie. Of course it's going to feel fabricated. It is literally a fabricated story. But it feels fabricated in a way to increase support of gay people among straight people, not so much help gay people come to terms with the difficult period in their lives that is being a teenager in a Western society. And I don't think at any point in watching Love, Simon did I go, oh yeah, I know what that's like. I mean, there are certain elements that feel familiar, but overall, it just did not resonate. And I'm not that far off the demographic this film was made for. I was 23. Okay, maybe I was a little bit older. I was in my early 20s when this film came out. But let me know in the comments down below if you watched this film and thought, yeah, I get that. And in the same vein, these stories are important. We need feel-good stories that don't just show, again, tragic endings and tragic existences. Gay people can be happy, believe it or not. But it lacks a sense of authenticity, which I guess it's not that surprising considering it was written by a bisexual woman. She is living a heteronormative lifestyle, and people were up in arms because she was perceived as a heterosexual woman who had written this story about a gay boy. This is based on a book. But then she came out as bisexual. And I don't want to be the one to say it, but, you know, just because you're in the community doesn't mean you can speak for all experiences. It doesn't mean that you'll be able to relate to all experiences. They're running themes that are common to most existences, but like as a gay man, I wouldn't write a movie about the coming of age of a lesbian girl. I also wouldn't write a coming of age story about a trans woman. There are certain things that if you want to convey that authenticity, you really need to like go through that experience or at least understand it more than just being part of the community. And I think that's valid criticism for this case because nothing in this story feels authentic enough to, I don't know, to be the success that it was. It launched a sequel television series called Love, Victor. That was unnecessarily long. But like I said, this is just me being too woke, because if we're being honest, the movie is cute, it's fun, it's entertaining, and it'll leave you with a tear in your eye. There were certain parts where I teared up in this film. So let's get into it. This is kicking us all off in this gay month that the gay Jesus has given us. Love, Simon. So Love, Simon starts off straight away telling us what the movie is going to be about. This is a coming-of-age gay movie for straight people. Simon, our main character, played by Nick Robinson, a heterosexual actor. Not that it's important. We're not against gay for pay as long as it's done ethically. Ask me how you can do that ethically at the end of the month and I'll tell you. And we're introduced to him, his family, and his friends through a monologue that screams, "Pick me." He's like, I'm Simon, I'm just like you, I watch the same films, I play the same games, I too have a sister that annoys me. This whole meet and greet of his friends and family just screams, pick me. It screams, accept me into your circles, because other than this tiny little secret that I'm keeping that I am actually a homosexual, I am just like you. Look at all of these people behind me that prove that I too can assimilate. I can be one of you, one of us, one of us. Where's that from? Maybe this is propaganda to normalize queerless gays. And honestly, from the get-go, it seems like Simon is a bit of a whiny little bitch, right? As, his mom is a literal psychiatrist. She's an activist even. And his father, who by the way, played by Josh Duhamel, just a quick moment to appreciate how fucking hot this man looks in this film. Sometimes you need to give the gay main character an ugly father because it's really fucking distracting. I don't care what happens to the son. I don't give a fuck. Show me the dad's daily life. Just follow him around. As I was saying, Simon seemingly has no reason not to come out of the closet. He literally has the perfect environment. The most homophobia that he interacts with at home is his father, saying that a certain contestant in The Bachelor or The Bachelorette is clearly gay. And honestly, looking back at it now, do we not remember when Colton Underwood came out as gay as a PR move to hide the fact that he was a fucking creep and a stalker and that his ex-girlfriend had to get a restraining order against him, and then they went ahead and gave him a Netflix show, which by the way, I might cover this month because that shit was a fever dream that I feel like we've all just moved on from it very quickly. But, you know, it's not even for him to say, oh yeah, that contestant on The Bachelor is clearly gay. That is the most homophobia that he deals with. He should have grown up in my household. All the gays should be put in an island and then shot dead. It all changes when someone posts anonymously in a school platform that kids use to confess secrets or something. It's called Creek secrets, and someone posts anonymously about the fact that they're gay. And when Leah, Simon's best friend, tells him this, he freaks out, runs to the laptop to read the confession, probably thinking that it's about him, but no, it's about someone else. There is another closeted gay kid in his school. And as someone who grew up in a small town and was at one point the only out gay kid in the entire city, I can understand the desperation of wanting to find someone else that is also gay. I completely get this. And that's about as far as the similarities go. Simon has a brilliant idea of anonymously emailing this person who we'll know as Blue for most of the film, and he signs himself off as Jacques. And the first email that he writes is, "I'm just like you."
So pick me. Choose me. Love me.
And then he goes on to write the whole monologue that we heard as the movie was opening up, talking about his father and his mother and his sister and his friends and how normal everything is. That's the takeaway that he has about his life is that everything is normal. Apart from the fact that I may or may not dream about sucking dick, but other than that, we're normal in this household. And I like that they included a little montage showing Simon's past, dealing with certain situations that any normal kid deals with, but being gay. So like he's at a prom and his girlfriend wants to kiss him and then he just runs to the bathroom and texts his mom to come get him. I didn't do that. I went to my prom and then I got drunk and I smoked weed for the first time and had a great night. But Simon hid in the bathroom because he didn't want to kiss a girl. Also, I think this whole aversion to the gender you're not attracted to, it comes mostly from straight men. They would lose their minds if they had to kiss a man. But gay men don't give a damn about kissing women or not, because at the end of the day, it's really not that serious. But we also find out that his gay awakening was Daniel Radcliffe from Harry Potter. I'm sorry. You could not torture this information out of me to say that my gay awakening was Daniel Radcliffe in Harry Potter. But he then looks at the guy from Panic at the Disco. So that I can relate to, because that man is pretty. And his voice is really nice. Anyway, they start writing back and forth, and it turns out Blue is also a poet. They write like no kid ever talks. Has that widespread appeal of look at these very articulate teenagers writing emails as if they're love letters in the 20th century or the 19th century. And one of them is at war, the other one's back home, and they're writing letters to each other they're not supposed to be writing because they're gay and that's forbidden. So they pretend that one of them is a girl and, this whole thing. But no, they write emails to each other. And then a walking abortion, Martin. His name is Martin. Blech. He finds Simon's emails after Simon forgets to log out of the school's computers, which gay card revoked. If you are on school property looking at gay shit or doing gay shit and you forget to log out, no, you're not gay. You're a straight person talking about gay people. But Martin is a disgusting human being, and instead of respecting other people's privacies, no, he screenshots the emails and then blackmails Simon into convincing his friend Abby, the one he's known for 6 months, to go out with Martin because Martin has a crush on Abby. And Simon becomes a villain. Simon does what Martin tells him to because Simon wants to protect a secret. Now, we will later find out that it wasn't just the fear of getting outed that led Simon to becoming a horrible person in this film. It was also the fear that if Blue saw their emails leaked, that he would stop talking to Simon out of fear of being discovered. So Simon chose this boy that he's known for 2 weeks over his friends that he's known for either 6 months or 13 years. Mind you, Blue wasn't at risk of being found out at all. It's just their emails were gonna leak. But hey, it's 2 anonymous people. Who gives a fuck? So we got 2 main storylines, and both of them are done interestingly. The first one is Simon obsessively trying to find out who Blue is, taking small clues from their emails, such as I like Game of Thrones, to look for kids at their school that like Game of Thrones. Looking for your crush based on Game of Thrones sounds like a stupid plan, considering it was one of the most popular shows at the time. Or the fact that Blue likes Oreos. Anyway, first main suspect is Bram, who throws a Halloween party, and they dress up in the most obnoxious Halloween costumes ever. I would hate to go to this school. Simon and Leah dress up as John Lennon and Yoko Ono. So I guess this movie is about some stupid art house kids that everyone secretly hates because they're obnoxiously annoying. And they just made him gay and pretended like people may not like him for being gay. No, people may not like you for this shit. Okay? You do this at my school, you're getting a beat down. What kind of self-respecting 15 or 16-year-old just fucking dresses as John Lennon and then goes around reciting the lyrics as if they're fucking poems? Shut up! Shut up! Be a kid! Be a normal fucking kid. I hate these teenage characters who are meant to be like this wiser than thou and all fucking knowing and powerful, omnipotent, whatever bullshit. Have you ever spoken to 15 and 16-year-olds? Do you know what kind of stupid shit they're saying? So they go to this Halloween party. Martin tags along because he's been blackmailing Simon into welcoming him into the group. Martin's another annoying costume that I just want to punch in the face. He's dressed up as a Freudian slip. You know, some of you deserve to be bullied. And I don't say this lightheartedly because I was bullied. Some of you need those beatdowns. Dressed up as a Freudian slip. I have a friend who dresses up as the most obnoxious Halloween costumes every year. One year, he wore a white leotard to show off his muscles and then wrapped a white rope around him and went as Tangled headphones. I hate you gays sometimes. So they go to this Halloween party and Martin is hitting on Abby because that's his chance. And he's just so awkward. Like he's one of those kids that you can tell is mean because he's cringe. Like he's cringe, therefore he's got no friends. So he hasn't learned how to socialize in group. So he comes off as like really sad. But then that lack of socialization also left him bereft of human empathy. And so he does the nasty, evil shit that he does, like blackmail Simon, threatening to out him to an entire school.
Trying to pick a film on Netflix. I'm like, oh, am I in an Apatow mood or am I in a Billy Wilder mood, you know?
And Simon keeps flirting with Bram, convinced that Bram is the gay kid. But then later at the party, he walks in on Bram making out with a girl. And he's left heartbroken because the gay boy he thought was gay turns out is making out with a girl. And we all know that if you see a man kissing a woman, that automatically means that he's heterosexual. But something that doesn't make sense to me is Simon being petrified of being outed as a gay kid, but then not scared of doing this shit in front of the entire school.
Baby, I know what to do, but something won't let me make love to you.
I know straight people who would rather come out as gay than sing karaoke in front of 5 people, let alone their entire school. If you're not ashamed to do this, Simon, then you should not be scared of coming out. Those two realities don't compute. And later that night, Leah gives another obnoxious, these teenagers, every time they open their mouth, I'm just like, shut up, shut up. Leah and Simon are talking in Simon's bedroom, and they've been like bestest of friends for like 13 years, right? And Leah says that she feels like she's destined to love someone so intensely that it breaks her or something. And they're talking about love like they are these despondent 50-year-old French poets who had a great romance lived 20 years before over the course of a summer and now spend the rest of their days wallowing in empty bottles of wine, cigarettes, and poems by the window overlooking the fucking Eiffel Tower. I hate this trope. I hate this trope of making these kids sound like they're old, sad people. But Leah says all of this to Simon, and he immediately assumes, oh, she likes Nick, our other friend, obviously. I mean, she's not going to like me because I'm an F slur, so it's got to be Nick. And earlier I said that there were 2 stories, right? He's on one side trying to find out who Blue is, and on the other side, he is pimping out his friend Abby to Martin the Creep. So they go to a cafe to rehearse some lines because, oh my God, I almost forgot. They're doing cabaret at their school, right? I've never watched cabaret. And I know that there's Nazis in the story, right? It's a period piece, I think. But tell me why these kids are in full, like, swastika costumes on stage in that school. Listen, is this a thing? Like, do school productions just do cabaret and then get like historically accurate costumes for the characters playing Nazis? Do we need to? if we're gonna do cabaret, right, and it's got such a, like, I don't know. I just find it very jarring to just, like, see a swastika, like, out in the open in a school. So they go to a cafe to rehearse their lines for cabaret, and Martin does this thing that I find annoying, where he starts, like, building Abby up. You know, building Abby, you're so cool, you deserve everything, you deserve the world. And she's like, okay, calm down, can you just read your line? And he's like, no, I'm not gonna go on until you say it out loud. You are special, and you are deserving, and you are amazing. And I'm like, can we be done? Because this is uncomfortable. And Abby lost a lot of respect for you. I mean, I guess she doesn't have a choice, but, like, he's really building her up, and he's really annoying to the point where she just stands up and announces herself as strong and powerful and special and deserving, and I want to be gone. But this is also the place where Simon gets to talk into this other kid who goes to school with them, and he's very pretty. Look at that face. Just a smile that you'd want to bring home to your mother. His name is Lyle. He's the second suspect in charge, and I just love how Simon is just, you know, you're being nice to me, you must be blue. What, you smiled at me? You gotta be gay and into me, right? Yeah. But at the end of the evening, he takes Abby home and finally comes out to someone in this whole fucking film, and comes out to Abby. And Abby's reaction is exactly as one would expect, hope for, when coming out to someone progressive. And I feel like we've seen enough of his friends to know that they couldn't give a fuck. One good way to know if your friends are gonna give a fuck or not is if there's any other out gay kids at school, just watch how your friends talk about that kid. And Simon at this point has to basically start scheming to keep his friend Nick and Abby apart, because they clearly like each other, but Martin likes Abby and is threatening Simon. Now, Simon could be a bit more mature, going off of how he writes his messages and how mature he seems. Especially now that he's out to Abby, he could be like, hey, Abby, by the way, Martin is blackmailing to out me to the entire school if I don't get you two together, but Nick likes you and I know you like Nick. So, like, maybe cut Martin off. I don't know. Use Abby's leverage as Martin's crush to maybe avoid getting outed, but also avoid having to pimp your friend out at the age of 16. So he tells Nick that Abby has a college boyfriend, which is crazy. And then, to avoid Nick asking Abby out, he tells Nick to ask Leah out because he thinks Leah is in love with Nick. So at this football game, Simon is now sad because he just realized that Lyle, the server, is also not gay. He's also into Abby. He's fed up. So when he speaks to Martin, he kind of tells him, you know what? Go big or go home. Like, declare your undying love for Abby in front of the entire school. That's what you should do. Either that or give up. So he does. He declares his love in front of the entire school.
Will you go out with me? She's too hot for you, ass face!
So he declares his love for Abby, and Abby actually lets him down very respectfully and easily. She's like, I'm sorry, but I don't feel that way about you. I thought we were friends. Yeah, so because Martin and Abby exchanged a few pleasantries and they were starting to get along. So, you know, Abby was like, yay, I got a new friend. And Martin was like, damn, I need to pound her right now. The dissonance between woo-woo. So Martin leaves humiliated. And what do evil, humiliated, unsocialized kids do when they are humiliated? Well, he outs Simon. He posts on Creek Secrets. He plasters the secret emails that Simon exchanged with Blue. And now Simon is out. Simon is exposed as an F slur, as a homosexual, as a dick sucker, as a packer, banleiru, gebeta, gotu, all the things. Now, the message is posted on Christmas Eve as people are on holiday, so he's not really going to have to deal with the backlash or whatever backlash may come of it directly, but he does decide to come out to his parents the day after, the morning of Christmas. Now, these were the scenes that I was like, okay, you're touching me in my feels right here. Because everyone needs a positive coming out story. I think that if everyone, like, this is the thing about being part of the Alphabet Mafia, is that the whole world, who cares what the rest of the world is going to say? A lot of times, or most times, it would be enough for your own household to have your back, right? For your own household to support you, for your family to accept you. Because if you don't have the acceptance of the world, but you have your family next to you, then it's instantly easier. Family is there in your home when you're supposed to feel safe. So coming out to your parents and then finding out that they actually want to disown you or they don't accept you and they spend the better part of the rest of their lives trying to change you or rejecting you for who you are, that's shit. Because then you have to go and build your own family, chosen family, etc., which is very common. So it's positive and good to see these like more positive coming out stories. He comes out to his parents and they're like, oh, they know that this is obviously a serious topic. And the dad even tries to make jokes, to make light of the situation because it is a heavy topic and we don't need to start crying all over the presents. But it's also in his awkwardness, his inability to know how to joke about that he pisses off his daughter. And she's like, can you just shut up for once? And I was like, well, she's an ally. She's going to be at the protests. So as surprised as the parents are, they straight away accept him. And he later has an individual conversation with both of the parents, which got me in my fucking feelings. The first one was with his mom. And the way that they wrote her lines was actually really relatable. She tells Simon that even though she didn't know exactly what it was, she knew that something was up because she saw him as a child have a lot of energy. And then once puberty hit, she saw this kid slowly but surely close up, seem more anxious and nervous around everything and everyone because, it gets to that age where every queer person is to some extent trying to hide who they are. And that means hiding your personality, hiding your likes, because even if something you do doesn't indicate straight away that you're queer, in your mind, everything that you do means like a big neon sign saying, I'm gay, right? And she tells her son that it seems like he's been holding his breath for so long, and now he's allowed to breathe. Now he's allowed to live. And I think that's very beautiful. It's a very nice, digestible, comforting way of describing what it feels like when someone, those ages between finding out what you are and announcing it to the world or accepting it openly, there's a lot that happens in someone's journey. One thing that happens a lot that I didn't see in this film is the bisexual phase. And this is not saying that being bisexual is a phase, absolutely not. But there's a lot of gays and lesbians, me included, that in coming to terms with the fact that they only like the opposite gender, they go through the stages of, okay, maybe I like both. Because then they live on the fantasy that even though he likes men, someday he'll find a woman. And because he's bisexual, he may end up with a woman. So it's like you see being gay as this like tragic ending of what life could be. So you hold on to that half hope that somehow it could still be that thing that you envisioned while still allowing yourself to feel the attraction you genuinely feel. And then eventually most people end up accepting, no, actually, I'm just fully gay. Like that bi stuff was just me talking out of my ass. And ironically, this also gives bisexual people very bad representation because then there are people who genuinely believe that bisexual people are always just confused, and it's not at all the case. But, in trying to find themselves, a lot of the homosexuals give a bad name to the bisexuals. And then you create this community infighting. We're not going to go that deep today. We're going to go back to Simon and his conversation with his father, which was another one in the feels. Now, men lovers out there, people who find Josh Duhamel attractive, he's talking to his son, and I'm just like, is it like something in your biological clock that makes you look for people who would be good as parents? Josh, goddamn. But coming back from the winter break, not everything is Gucci at school. Blue, seeing his emails leaked, decides to end his relationship with Simon. They were like getting very comfortably like, I really like you and I want to kiss you. They were like inserting some flirtatious messages in between the laureate poems that we don't care about. But he ends that relationship and he blocks Simon's email. And then Nick and Abby are together. Yeah, they got to talking and they realized that they liked each other and they started dating, and then realized that Simon had been lying to both of them, including pimping Abby out, which is gross, which then made Leah realize that, hey, you knew that Nick liked Abby, so why'd you send him on a date with me? So they confront Simon, and Simon explains, that he was being blackmailed. But that's, my guy, not really an excuse, because you still, like, two wrongs don't make a right. Yes, you're in a bad situation. Talk to your friends about it. Explain to them what's happening. come out to your very progressive friends who have gay friends. For all intents and purposes, that other gay kid, Ethan, he's friends with them. You can come out. You can trust them. Come on, Simon. So Simon now has no friends at school. And then he's humiliated. Listen, the whole portion of the bullying of this film is literally these two asshats, the literal clown idiots of the entire school who do a cringy dance on the tables in the cafeteria, dressed one as Simon, one as this other gay kid, Ethan. And doing that to a room full of silent kids. Not one person is laughing. They're pretend spanking each other and saying, Simon likey. Again, not a single smile in this entire room. Everyone's like, what the fuck are these two? Like, no one gives a shit. Not a single person gives a fuck about Simon or Ethan. Anyway, in comes my favorite teacher. I wish every school had one like her. She was in The White Lotus, if you recognize her. But she comes in and she tears a new one into these two Dumb and Dumber, takes them to the principal office, but like she reads these idiots to filth. To hell and back.
Get your ass off the table now, you sweaty, hormonal virgins.
He then apologizes to Leah and they start talking again, and then Abby and Nick also forgive him after seeing him be so thoroughly and brutally humiliated in front of the entire school when those two idiots humiliated themselves more than anything else. That was okay. Simon, you're in our good books. And honestly, yeah, just let them become friends. No one did anything really evil to the point of needing to account for their actions, except for Simon, who literally pimped his girlfriend out to a creepy guy he knew would out someone just to get with a girl, there's a lot to unpack on that alone. But hey, happy ending, right? Wrong, because we still don't know who Blue is. So now Simon just mopes around the school asking random kids he thinks might be gay if they're blue, and they're like, no, sorry, bro. So Simon, in true no kid would ever do this fashion, writes a long-ass post coming out in that Creek Secrets and it telling his story, his and Blue's. He's like, I fell in love. I had a dream, and that dream was taken away when I was outed to my entire school. He thought, here's a closeted gay kid who stopped talking to me just because his anonymous emails were leaked. I know how to get him to meet up with me. I'm going to announce it to the whole school. I'm going to invite him to a public place where everyone who reads this post will linger around to film me and to catch whoever this other gay kid is. And I think that's going to do it. I think that is going to inspire this terrified to come out gay kid of publicly coming out in the most public fashion that this town allows in front of a Ferris wheel. Yep, he tells Blue to meet him at the fair. There's a little Ferris wheel, and we're gonna go around once and talk about things. You know, we were practically in love with each other, so just come on out, tell me who you are, and we'll see how it goes. Naturally, everyone from the school decides to be at this place because, hey, like Ethan said,
You know what they say, one gay's a snooze, two's a hilarious hate crime.
This may remind you of Never Been Kissed. Luckily here, everyone is a minor. Everyone is the same age. So Simon starts riding this little Ferris wheel, and at first everyone's clapping, woohoo! And then it gets like slowly more and more humiliating. He keeps going round, but the woos start like silencing slowly to the point where it's just his three friends awkwardly clapping while everyone's around like, yo, is this it? And then, in an act to redeem himself, Martin, the professional outer, offers to pay him his last ride. Now, I don't know about y'all, but if he wants to redeem himself, he can reimburse me for all the money I spent on this fucking ride all night. One ticket's not gonna cover it, Martin. But, hey, in the end, guess who it was? It was Bram. Bram, the one that Simon saw make out with a girl. Guess what, Simon? Bram was also struggling to accept his sexuality, so he too was experimenting. And in the end, at the very, 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 very end of this gay movie, we finally see something gay. Two bros kissing. No homo. No, I lie. The only other gay thing in this movie was a montage. I think it's in an email that Simon tells Blue, like, oh, when I go to college, I'll be able to be gay. You know, I'll be able to be myself. And then we see this, I don't know what this is. And then the email is like, okay, maybe not that gay. It's like, this is what they thought of when they thought, let's make it gay. Color blocking t-shirts. I don't have the vocabulary to explain. No matter how, like, if you watch this in on mute, what are we doing? That's the only other gay thing in the movie. So yeah, that, my friends, was Love, Simon. A lovely, comforting, gay coming-of-age drama for straight people. And you know what? I guess that all gay movies are made for straight audiences if you want to have a big enough release. This movie was the big, like, the first, I guess, mainstream with, like, a lead that was gay, like, marketed as gay. So I guess they really wanted to hit as many homes as possible. They wanted it to be digestible to as many people as possible. So they made it for the straights, and that's okay. And on that note, if you're straight, consider donating to trans charities during this month of Pride because they're under attack. The whole world has now decided to pivot and find a new target to hide everything else happening around the world. And the easiest targets will always be the minorities. And trans people are basically going through it. So consider donating to any charities. I'll leave a couple links down below. If you want to contribute, that's fine. That'd be great. And if you don't, well, don't call yourself an ally for the rest of the year. No, I'm joking, guys, but just spread the word, okay? And once again, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you don't want to miss all the other Pride installments. Don't worry, some will be fun. I'm making this election. I'm trying to find interesting, different things to talk about. So yeah, bear with. Subscribe, and then you can hate on me all you want in the future videos. And until next time, guys, stay safe, stay sane, stay stupid, and stay stuttering. Bye.